I just want to take this opportunity to wish Mazal Tov to all of my Acharai classmates. I'm very sorry that I couldn't be there to join in our siyum together, but I did want to talk a little bit about what Acharai has meant to me over the past year and a half. And I would say that I came in with the expectations that this would be a great training class to enable us to learn tools of leadership, maybe some techniques that we could implement for the furtherance of our organizations. And I have to say it was certainly that, but what stands out to me far more, and what I think I'll carry with me going forward, is much more the friendships that we've been able to make, where we've come from different age groups, from different geographic regions, for different streams of Judaism, and come together to form our own mini community. And we can take that sense of, yes, we're different, but our goals are all similar, and we can use that similarity in the community that we've built in our sessions, both the entire class and the one-on-one sessions, or the four and five group sessions that we built together, and take that as, I think, our core going forward. So in my case, the canvas that I tried to paint is ending up probably a little bit more blank than it was when we started, because Yeshivat Rambam, as we all know, is closing really tonight. The same night that we're having our siyum, there's a more bittersweet siyum at Rambam. But maybe more positively, we have, I think, a nexus of friendship and community that we can use to carry forward. And I think that's probably the most significant takeaway that we have from Acharai. So thank you, Mazal Tov again on all of our graduations, and I hope to speak to you all soon.
I had a very special birthday in March of 2010, right before we began our Acharai experience together. I gave myself a big party and invited my guests to share what I called my first 60 years. Because, as I reminded everyone that evening, after the great flood, God declared, man's days shall be 120 years. And so this leadership adventure actually launched my second 60 years. As I think you all know, because you have lived through it with me, this has been a year of incredible change for me. A year when I was forced to confront the personal betrayal of a loved one, his frightening medical diagnosis, and my eventual new beginning on my own. It was also a year of extreme sadness as my father descended more and more deeply into dementia, culminating with his death just 1 week ago. So perhaps I am not your typical Acharai class member, but I would argue that I am certainly not the only one who has found this experience to be a time to reevaluate and perhaps even recreate myself as a person who is ready to accept the daunting leadership task for which I have been chosen. What I have learned, quite simply, is that leaders are nothing more than human beings who bring with them their own mental models and belief systems and core values. In addition to our own humanness, we must always remember that our constituents are equally as human, bringing their own mindsets and beliefs to the table. We must find a way to balance our personal dreams with those of the communities we lead, remaining always open to the ever-changing needs of our organizations, as well as to the input of those who look to us for leadership. What did I expect from Acharai? I guess I hoped for some simple leadership tools. Well, I actually received a whole tool belt, or perhaps a toolbox, or in my case, actually enough tools to fill a designer handbag. Reframe, reset, get out on the balcony. I haven't even inherited my position yet, and I have been very, very busy practicing all of these strategies. Thank you, Ellen, for your extraordinary gift as a listener, a facilitator, and an educator of the highest magnitude. At my initial interview for acceptance into Acharai, I cited my lack of Jewish knowledge as my weakness. Although I actually taught in a Reform Jewish Sunday school to put myself through college and became an adult bat mitzvah just 8 years ago, I felt that I was missing something. And in Acharai, I found it, the gift of text study with Larry Ziffer. Of course, 14 fabulous, exquisite texts are only a tiny scratch in the surface, but it is a path I hope to follow beyond this class and beyond my leadership year. I hope I will be a better leader because of my new insights, my new knowledge, my new mentors, and my new friends. I know I have already become a better person.
Sometime in the early stages of winter 2009, Louise Zaretta, the then president of Har Sinai Congregation, sent me an email with an application attached to Acharai. I didn't even know what Acharai was at the time, so I left it in my pile of stuff. During one of the many snowstorms in winter of 2010, I was stuck inside the house feeling trapped and stranded, so I picked up the application and the brochure and I said to myself, why not? I went through the exercise thinking they will never take me because they limit the class size to 18 people, and I am far from a Jewish scholar. In fact, I had had a bad taste from the experience of Hebrew school of the 1950s and 60s. A month or so later, I had an interview with the selection committee, and to my surprise, sometime later, a letter came inviting me to join the class of 2010-2011. At the time, I thought I really pulled the wool over their eyes because they selected me, but I've come to learn that they saw something in me that I did not know existed. Accepting the challenge, I went to the Acharai opening weekend at the Pearlstone Center, and there I was with 17 other bright movers and shakers in the Jewish community. And I'm thinking, I'm a little over my head here. Then they proceeded to tell us that the graduates will most probably become the presidents of their respective organizations. Again, thinking, not me, but that I will probably learn something if I can keep up with all these incredible students and instructors. Having spent the last 18 months in this process, studying leadership, tied in with Jewish values, the call to lead in a higher form and give back to my people, my fellow Jews, became more of a reality. When I started this journey, I expected to gain some leadership skills, Jewish knowledge, and confidence. Those things were attained, but what else I gained was much, much more. I learned my classmates' thought processes, their fears, their triumphs, and they became my friends that I hope to be in touch with in some way for the rest of my life. I also learned diversity amongst my fellow classmates with open, accepting minds, no matter which branch of Judaism we hailed from. In addition, I was taught these skills by the two most impressive teachers I have ever been exposed to in my life, Ellen Wagelstein and Larry Ziffer. All of this could not have been accomplished without the dedication and energy of Debs Weinberg and Stephanie Rosenau. Yes, the way things worked out, I did become president of Har Sinai Congregation. And our immediate past president, Louise Zaretta, who pushed me to do this, has now become a board member of Acharai. As Larry Ziffer taught us, there are no coincidences, just coinciding events. Thank you.
I think back to a cold February evening some 16 months ago when I came to the Acharai office to be interviewed for the program. I answered a barrage of questions from an intimidating panel of 5. I assume my responses were adequate since I was accepted to the program. Before I had my interview, I gave some thought to what I wanted to gain from the Acharai program. I believe I articulated thoughts about a desire to hone leadership skills, gain conflict resolution skills, knowledge sharing with peers, and a host of other goals. However, now that I reflect on that night after 14 Acharai sessions, my words seem hollow, for I gained all of that and so much more. I was unable to factor in the human element that evening and all that I benefited from my fellow colleagues, faculty, and staff. It's difficult to capture in words the feelings and appreciation that I have to so many. Acharai provided me not just leadership skills and the tools to be a proper steward of an organization, but a greater appreciation of the various leaders and Jewish organizations in our community. For those of you who cannot tell, I identify with the Orthodox community in Baltimore. If not for the Acharai program, when would I be afforded the opportunity to interact with leaders of the conservative, reform, and reconstructionist community in such a meaningful way? We may pray in different synagogues, send our children to different schools, observe and believe differently, but Acharai taught me that we have a common bond, and that is a bond of passion and commitment to the continuity and success of the Baltimore Jewish community. We each came with a different flavor and style, but all committed to making our community a stronger Jewish community. We felt each other's successes and challenges and have benefited from sharing our best practices and experiences with each other. When Debs asked me to say a few words, she mentioned that the theme for the Siyum is blank canvas to artwork. She said, not that I'm a blank canvas. I saw myself as more of a Jackson Pollock portrait. A lot of bold thoughts, ideas, and colors, but in need of some refining. I had the great fortune of having Ellen as my coach to discuss the challenges and opportunities of the organization I represent, Bikur Cholim, an organization that supports the ill of our community. She exhibited such genuine care and concern, a great listener, but always challenging me to think as a leader. She made such difficult situations seem so simple to resolve. I have saved all of her flowcharts, pyramids, and other works of art that I'm sure I'll be referring to in the days ahead. As someone who has spent the majority of my life studying in the yeshiva and has pored over Talmudic texts for quite a few years, I was a bit skeptical about how much I can gain from the text study at Acharai. How wrong I was. We were spoiled to have someone like Larry who brought texts alive and put a different angle on the traditional texts that I may have studied many times before. I had the opportunity to have various Acharai study partners, chavrusos, who I prepared the text with before Larry presented, and I was always enamored to hear my partner's analysis and thoughts, which typically came with a different perspective than my own. I can't say I always agree with their interpretation, but definitely intriguing to hear. To see the class's spirited reactions and passion to texts is something which I remember from the days back in yeshiva. I'd be remiss if I didn't give a special thank you to Debs and to Stephanie for all that they do to make this program the success that it is. There's no detail that they do not attend to make sure that our learning experience was maximized. Yasher koach. At the end of every Siyum, for the completion of a tractate of Talmud, the one who completes the tractate reads the Aramaic text and states, Hadron alach, I will return to you. Lo sisnashnei minach, I will not forget you, in reference to that tractate. As I now complete the tractate of Acharai, I proclaim Hadron alach, I will return to you. Lo sisnashnei minach, I will not forget you. I will not forget all the leadership concepts and tools that I have learned. I will not forget all the wonderful people I have met who have helped me develop into a stronger leader over the last 14 months. Although we are celebrating our Siyum, which means completion, in essence, we are just beginning our journey into the world of Jewish leadership as we re-enter it richer and fuller than when we began.